going to pull that apron off and prime underneath it and get it ready to weld on. I'm probably just gonna, that's all I'm gonna do tonight is pull that off, prime it, and then that way tomorrow when I come back out, I can grind a little bit of the weld or the primer off where I'm gonna weld, and then that way it has some protection underneath there. I added a few more lights here just to give it a little bit more on that side. And I finished off that hexagon, and then I moved, I had these two lights previously over here, so I moved them there. And then I also mounted one over there on the wall. So I got lots of lights. I'll plug that one in on the wall. It's not super bright, but when I'm over here on the side, that'll be nice to have a little more light over here. Lights up that whole side really. This is kind of nice. And then this one, I just left. It's my little light. I just hang it up. The hooks and some zip ties, pretty simple. I used it on the inside when I was doing the floors too. I just hooked it up inside, mounted it. I can take it down and slide it underneath the car if I want as well. I'm super happy with all the lights. It's way brighter in here. I wish I didn't have the attic access right there. I mean, I like having the attic obviously, but it'd be cool to make it match on both sides, but that's all right. I was just more concerned about the lighting than making it look symmetrical. Pull that off. Take the latch off first here. I'm gonna actually mark it real quick. I had to drill out this hole really big. I'm gonna try to attempt to maybe add a little weld to it. All the spots there I marked. Show you guys here. So I had to hog it out there, there, and there. So try to add maybe a little weld on that, grind it down. I'll attempt to. I had to grind probably 1/4 of an inch off this to get it to all line up. I loosened those 3 already. All right. So that. Perfect. Now I'll take the apron off here. I wanted to prime this in here. And I also need to clean off all this black paint because apparently that's what they suggest. It's all mangled up here. Did I not even notice that? I don't know if I did that. Maybe I hit it outside. I'll beat that around a little. Wipe it down with some wax and grease remover. Get all the crap off of it. Mainly just worried about the sides for now. But I'm gonna go ahead and put some self-etching primer on there. I'll let this dry for a minute. A little on each side here. Whoops. I didn't have a lot of time tonight, so primer on there. It's wet. It'll dry. Be dry by tomorrow. I peeled the sticker off that was on there on both sides. Just do a little bit here and there. Eventually get done. I'm hoping this weekend I can get this in primer. That's my goal. We will see. Getting the black coating wire wheeled off the inside here. Just using the fluffy wire wheel. It's working pretty well. This stuff pretty much just flies right off. I gotta get these edges a little bit better. And then I'm probably gonna squirt a little primer in here before I weld it on, just in this area. And then I'll end up priming all this after I install it with, I have some epoxy primer and I'll use spray gun, air compressor, and spray it all at one time. But just to have something on here, because once this is on, I'll weld it and it'll just be bare metal in there. So I'm probably gonna seam seal this too after, just to make sure it's all sealed up once I'm done. I welded up the holes here a little bit better. I didn't grind off the paint because I had my white marks to try to tell me where to fill it in. So I'm gonna grind those down. So now when I put the latch back on, it won't be a sloppy mess in there. I might end up re-drilling them so they're symmetrical, but I will definitely, once I get this installed, put the latch back in and test it before I pull the hood off. Here I was just grinding down, making sure everything was smooth. And I had to weld up a little hole I saw. So I welded that up. Ground it back down. All right. It's pretty much prepped now. I'm going to put the apron back on here. And weld it up. That's the plan anyways. Put a couple the screws back in. Let's see. get it lined up here. Gonna put them in kind of loose, and then I'll tighten them up. I think I'll put the hood latch back in as well. Test the hood real quick before I weld it back up. I don't know why that's not lining up now. Should be all the other ones lined up. Go. 2 more in there. Two more. I don't know where they went. I will grab 2 new ones here. Show you what I got going on here. So I screwed it all back on. I ended up trimming this here because it was a lot higher. So this one has like a little notch. And this one has a notch too, but it's not as big. So I might end up trimming this side down a little more. And then I might end up moving this as well, like I did over here, just so it's more symmetrical to line up, because it's definitely not lining up. So it didn't take that long. I just drilled those out and shoved it over. But I'm gonna get this welded on. I'm gonna put the latch on first. I'm not going to show you guys that. And then I'm going to test the hood again. And I might end up running a drill bit through there so that's a circle instead of a wonky weld. But it's definitely more, I filled it in a lot more so it wasn't so big. I'll try to find a bit that's about that size and drill those out. Alright, got the hood latch in. Let's test it out. I took my light off so I can shut the hood. Pretty good. I'm gonna pull the lever. Opens. You gotta push it down all the way to latch it. Sweet, I'm happy with that. So now we can, I'm gonna pull one screw out at a time and weld that on. So that'll be done here. Stick my light back up. It's custom. Right on. Here I'm welding on the inside and underneath on the bottom. On the bottom I tried to just tack it about every 2 inches. Not sure how it was from the factory, but the last person who repaired it had it tacked like that. Just trying to keep it somewhat symmetrical underneath there. I'm gonna drill this side out just like I did on that side and move it in so it lines up better. So I ground off the paint. I guess drill that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. I'm gonna do 4 and then try to put it up and then weld it on. Connected here. So now this moves. So I ground off the paint underneath. Now I can push this down and it lines up a lot better up there. Whoop, caught it. So I'm gonna weld it on now. I got that welded on now. Here I'm just taking the wire wheel and removing the coating that they put on. And then I got the DA sander out and also sanded it down with 80 and then 180. Smooth it all out. I started sanding the body filler I put on the other day, just using the DA to kind of cut some of it off. I did both sides, I got this side done, and then here I moved over the other side. I'm gonna end up putting another layer of body filler on, and then I'll probably do a glaze coat on top of that once I get done blocking it out. It's getting late, it's almost 9 o'clock, so I'm gonna seam seal in here. I don't know how much seam seal I think it's like up to here, so I don't have a ton left. So I think I'm gonna try to seam seal what I masked off there, let that dry overnight, see if I can get some more seam sealer tomorrow. Maybe I'll seam seal it after I prime it, the outer part. I was gonna seam seal that, but right now I'm gonna try to do the inside. So I smooth out the seam sealer. I squirt a little wax and grease on my finger and kind of rub it back and forth. The wax and grease seems to help smooth it out a little bit. Try to make it a little more symmetrical and smooth. I used a brush before, but it leaves a bunch of brush strokes in it. The seam sealer is pretty thick. It's not self-leveling. I couldn't use self-leveling on this part because obviously it would just flow down. So I used this. It's 3M. I think it's 08308, I think is the part number. It works really well. It dries pretty quickly. I'm putting it on now, so hopefully I can get it in primer in a day or two. Here I masked off a little bit further down. I wasn't sure how much I had left, so I wanted to just kind of do the inside there, but I had enough to do the upper part. So I just masked this off quickly. I did both sides, and I'm gonna smear a little on there. I ended up having enough seam seal. I did the sides of the apron there on both sides. And now here I'm just peeling off the tape. I let it dry for a little bit before I took it off. It's still tacky, but it shouldn't move after I peel it off here, so that's where I'm at. Here's a close-up of it. It's all done. Turned out really nice. I'm happy with it. Thanks for watching. If you're a long-time subscriber, appreciate it. If you're new, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.